The avionics system of the 727 will be discussed in 4 related presentations: communications, navigation, weather radar and flight director, and finally the autopilot. This part of the avionics presentation will cover the communication system. There are 2 different VHF control panels installed on the aft control pedestal. The desired communication frequency is selected with the stacked knobs and read in the indicator on the left side of the panel. 6-digit frequencies can be selected. However, the last digit does not appear in the frequency indicator. To select a 6-digit frequency, the first 5 digits are selected, and the receiver automatically tunes the 6th digit. A volume knob is located on top of the frequency selectors. The volume knob should remain in the full increase position. Each crew member can then adjust the volume individually with the VHF volume switches. A selective calling system, cell call, alerts the cockpit crew members through lights and chimes that VHF communications is desired from a ground station. Cell call is operated through the number 2 VHF communications radio, which has 2 modes of operation: voice mode and a data link mode called ACARS. Cell call is functional through ACARS when the ACARS control unit is in the data mode. However, if either the VHF COM mode switch or the ACARS mode switch is in the voice mode, ACARS cell call is inoperative. The system is reset by pushing the box mode key on the ACARS control unit, or by resetting the mode switch on the number 2 COM radio. 4 audio selector panels allow integration of all radio transmitters and receivers, as well as interphone capability. The selector panel for each pilot is located on the aft control pedestal. The second officer's audio selector panel is in the lower left corner of the second officer's panel. The 4th audio selector panel, located on the left cockpit sidewall by the first observer seat, also provides radio inputs to the passenger audio entertainment system. All audio selector panels are powered from either the number 2 DC bus or the battery transfer bus through the interphone dual power source circuit breakers. These circuit breakers will be discussed later. Audio from any of the VHF communication or navigation receivers can be controlled by moving the appropriate lever-type volume switch. As the volume switch is moved toward the top of the panel, the volume is increased. The marker switch is an on-off switch for the marker beacon audio. The voice normal switches for the navigation receivers allow reception of both the voice and code signals when in the normal position. The voice position allows reception of voice signals only. When the microphone selector is positioned to VHF 1 or VHF 2, a blue light indicates which transmitter is selected. Normally, the number 1 VHF is used for ATC communications. The number 2 VHF is used for company and ARINC communications. When the mic selector is placed in the flight interphone position, communication is possible between cockpit crew members or between the cockpit crew and ground personnel using the flight interphone connection at the external power receptacle. If the mic selector is placed in the service interphone position, communication is provided between the cockpit audio panels and numerous service interphone jacks inside and outside the airplane. The crew member must select the appropriate interphone position of the mic selector, not only to transmit, but also to receive transmissions on the interphone circuit. The interphone volume control knob adjusts the flight and service interphone reception volume only. It is not a master volume control for the whole panel. Normally, there is an ADF receiver installed in the number 2 position only. A second ADF receiver is not normally installed in the airplane, but may be installed for offline charter or overwater operations. Audio from the receiver is controlled by the filter selector in the lower right corner of each audio selector panel. The V position allows reception of voice and other than 1020 Hz code signals. The R position allows reception of 1020 Hz code signals only. In the B position, both voice and code signals are heard. The volume of the audio is controlled by a knob on the ADF control panel. Either a Telex or Minitel boom mic headset is installed at the captain's and first officer's positions. Each captain and first officer carries their own personal plastic earpiece. The Telex assembly plugs directly into the mic and headset jacks located on the overhead sidewall panel. The Minitel is permanently connected to an amplifier mounted in the same location. A boom mic on the headset, handheld microphone, and a mic in the oxygen mask are provided for the captain and first officer. A 3-position switch on the microphone panel is used to select either the boom mic, the hand mic, or the oxygen mask mic. To key the boom or the oxygen mask microphone, either the pendant push-to-talk button mounted near the cockpit sliding windows or the microphone button on the outboard side of each control wheel can be used. To use a hand mic, the pendant unit must be disconnected from the jack and the hand mic plugged in. For the second officer and first observer, a hand mic and an oxygen mask mic are provided. There is no Minitel capability at these positions. The mic selector on the second officer's panel should be left in the oxygen position at all times. With the switch in the oxygen position, both the hand mic and the oxygen mask mic will work. The observer does not have a mic selector switch. Headphones are provided for the second officer as well as the first and second observers. However, audio selection and volume control for the second observer's position is controlled by the first observer's selector panel. Speakers located in the ceiling over the pilots allow monitoring of the associated audio selector panel without a headset. The type shown has a combination on-off switch and volume control. The ceiling speakers are muted to prevent feedback and squeal whenever any cockpit microphone is keyed. Headsets and speakers cannot be used effectively to simultaneously receive communications since their audio levels are not compatible and tend to distract rather than aid. Because of the muting, the speakers cannot be used effectively to establish crew communications when wearing the oxygen masks. Power for the radio equipment on the 727 comes through circuit breakers on the P18-1 and P18-2 panels. There are 2 radio master switches on the P18-1 circuit breaker panel. The number 1 radio master switch controls power to the radio equipment listed on the left through the highlighted circuit breakers. Power for these units comes from the essential buses. The number 2 radio master switch controls power to these units through the highlighted circuit breakers. These units are powered by the number 2 buses. The number 1 VHF navigation receiver, the number 1 glide slope receiver, and the number 1 communication transmitter and receiver are powered directly from the standby buses. They are not affected by the radio master switches. The audio selector panels are powered through circuit breakers on P18-2. The 2 circuit breakers on the right, labeled dual power source, are the power supply for the circuit breakers on the left. One dual power circuit breaker is powered by the battery transfer bus. The other is powered by the number 2 DC bus. Either dual power circuit breaker can power the interphone and VHF communication circuits. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is B. The crew interphone system provides communication between the flight crew and the flight attendant stations, or between flight attendant stations. Handsets with push-to-use switches are installed on the aft end of the control pedestal and at each flight attendant station. The cabin attendant button on the forward overhead panel in the cockpit is used to sound a chime and turn on a call light in the cabin ceiling. Pushing the reset button on any of the flight attendant panels resets the call system and turns off the light. When the captain call button on the flight attendant panel is pushed, a chime is sounded in the cockpit and the cabin attendant light on the overhead panel comes on. The ground crew call button initiates a call to the ground crew by sounding a horn in the nose wheel well. When a call to the cockpit is initiated by the ground crew from the external power panel, a chime sounds in the cockpit. The passenger address system is powered from the battery transfer bus. The PA system is used to make announcements to the passengers from either the cockpit or the flight attendants' stations. The system is also used for passenger entertainment. In the cockpit, the system is activated by removing the crew interphone handset from the cradle and pushing the PA switch momentarily. The light in the switch comes on when the connection is completed. The system is deactivated and the light goes off when the handset is returned to the cradle. Announcements from the cockpit override the flight attendants' microphones, which in turn override the entertainment system. With the oxygen mask on, PA announcements can be made by moving the oxygen mask mic switch to PA. The captain's and first officer's oxygen mask mics are hot when PA is selected. That is, it is not necessary to push the mic button in order to talk. The first observer's and second officer's oxygen mask microphones are not hot when the oxygen mask mic switch is positioned to PA. The push-to-talk button on the oxygen hose must be used. If any oxygen mask mic switch in the cockpit is in the PA position, the PA system cannot be used by the flight attendants. To monitor the passenger address system, a passenger address panel is located on the cockpit overhead panel. The blue PA light comes on when any cockpit crew member's oxygen mask mic is in the PA position, when the cockpit handset is connected to the PA system, or when a flight attendant is using the PA system. On all airplanes, the volume level on the PA system is shown by these indicators, whether the address is from the cockpit or the cabin. Volume indication within the center band is desirable. Some airplanes have volume level lights instead of indicators. The monitor speaker switch turns on the PA system speaker above the cockpit door. A passenger audio entertainment system provides entertainment from tape recordings and radio broadcasts. An entertainment box at each seat allows individual selection of entertainment channels 2 through 9. On the forward flight attendants panel, the boarding music selector controls the volume of the music on channel 4. The seat music switch provides on-off control of all passenger seat audio entertainment boxes. The observer audio entertainment switch is installed on the cockpit overhead panel. The on position allows reception of any selection on the first observer's audio selector panel to be broadcast on channel 9 of the passenger audio entertainment system. A flight recorder system records essential information as required by federal aviation regulations. This control panel for operation of the flight recorder on the ground is installed on the overhead panel. The on-off switch does not function in flight. Even if the switch is in the off position, the recorder will automatically start when the airplane leaves the ground and stop when the airplane lands through action of the gear safety switch. The recorder off light indicates that power is not applied, an internal fault exists, or that a computer input problem exists. A second panel for the flight recorder is located on the second officer's auxiliary panel. This panel has controls for setting the flight number and date and allows the crew to enter event marks. The repeat button is used to initiate encoding of the flight number and date. The encoder light indicates that the flight number and date are being encoded. The event button marks the tape to reflect the time of an event. It must be held at least 10 seconds to make a recognizable scribe mark. Cockpit voice recorder controls are located on the overhead panel. The voice recorder operates whenever electrical power is on the airplane. A loop tape in the unit records the previous 30 minutes of flight crew communications. 4 sound channels are recorded. The captain's, first officer's, and second officer's audio selector panels, and a cockpit microphone pickup on the voice recorder control panel. This will record all messages transmitted or received by any of the 3 crew members, as well as all communications within the cockpit. When the test button is pushed momentarily and released, the recorder test is activated. The pointer on the monitor indicator deflects twice into the white area, and 2 test tones are applied to the headset jack. Holding the test button will result in erroneous test indications. A headset jack allows monitoring of cockpit and radio inputs and tone transmissions during test and erase cycles. The voice recorder tape can be erased, if desired, by pushing the erase button and holding it in for approximately 7 seconds. The erase button works only when the airplane is on the ground, the parking brake is set, and AC power is available. The FARs state that the voice recorder tape must not be erased before the parking checklist is completed. The FARs in the Flight Operations Manual also state that the tape must be preserved if, within the last 30 minutes before landing, an incident occurs which requires immediate notification of the NTSB. This is accomplished by pulling the voice recorder circuit breaker on P18-2. Incidents which require immediate notification include flight control system malfunction or failure, incapacitation of a flight crew member, fire, substantial damage to the airplane. Engine failures, tires, and dents are not considered substantial, and any fatal or serious injury to any person. The correct answer is B. The captain's and first officer's oxygen mask mic switches are guarded to normal. With the switch in the PA position, any sound detected by the mask microphone will be broadcast to the cabin. The correct answer is C. This concludes the communications portion of the avionics system presentation.